Yeah. Welcome back to 2-5 Daily. Your boy 2-5 from Sports Reports Azorda, just dropping some on you real quick. So I was looking at the calendar. Of course, it's 4th of July weekend, but unbeknownst to me, today is July 2nd. So happy Sunday. But that just means that yesterday was July 1st. So welcome to the Big 12, BYU, Cincinnati, Houston, and Central Florida. What does it all mean? So Texas and OU are going to go to the SEC next year. So the Big 12 is going to take a hit perception wise, monetarily, anything you could think of. The perception of the conference is going to be down. It's the way that we look at the Pac 12, where there's some parity there. They beat up on each other. For example, USC probably would have made the playoffs last year if they had lost to Utah once instead of twice. But then USC messed it all up by losing to Tulane. So that's a whole nother story. But when I look at the Big 12, TCU made their run to the national title game last year. But guess what? Quarterback's gone. Running back's gone. Quentin Johnson's gone. I look at Kansas State, well-coached team. They're always going to be a thorn in your side. But I don't think that people view Kansas State as a team that you should fear en route to them winning a national title. Oklahoma State, yeah, they're all right, but they're not real. So they're always the team that maybe gets to a Big 12 title game, maybe gets the opportunity to go with a week left in the season, and then they blow it. Baylor isn't anything consistent since I've been alive. So if I'm one of these new schools, this is a chance to come make a mark. For example, Houston, you always hear about college football, you hear about sleeping giants. Like over the years, I've heard Illinois, Maryland, Virginia are these sleeping giants. With Houston, it's actually true. Look at where they're located. Third biggest city in the country, in a football rich, hungry, starving state. Houston should take the Big 12 and run with it. Key word being should. They don't have the coach. Dana Holgorsen of West Virginia fame, only coach that I could think of that left a Power Five to go to a G5 willingly before Scott Satterfield at Cincinnati this year, but we'll get into that in a second. But, Houston should get the talent. They always have the skill talent. They had their quarterback, Clayton Tune, get drafted this year. So in my eyes, Houston is the team that I've been waiting for to grab. They should have been where UCF is 20 years ago. Now with the Big 12 affiliation, let's see if they can do it. I've mentioned Cincinnati and Scott Satterfield. At the time that he left Cincinnati, we knew that they were coming into the Big 12, but they were a G5 in the moment nonetheless. Just like in the Air Force, you're a tech sergeant select. No, you're a staff sergeant, buddy. So Cincinnati, they don't have the coach. If this was Luke Fickell, then I would say Cincinnati would be near the top of the league all the time. But best case scenario for Cincinnati is 8 wins every year as well, just from the standpoint of they should get more talent being a part of a Power Five now, but they're in Cincinnati. They're still not going to beat Ohio State for the majority of recruits. Locally, you got Michigan coming in there, Michigan State, you got State Penn coming in there. So, Cincinnati's going to have a rough ride, if you will. Looking at BYU, they pull from a certain demographic, so they're not necessarily recruiting on the same field as everyone else. They're like the Notre Dame of their religion, if you will. So when I look at BYU, I see solid, I see fundamentals, I see Kansas State with just a little bit less speed. So, I think BYU is in that position of being able to grab new recruits out of the transfer portal that are for the lifestyle, if you will. And maybe BYU can be that middle of the pack team that rises up every so often. So let's clarify some differences here. So with Cincinnati, I feel your best case scenario most seasons is 8 wins. That's the best case scenario, but you're probably more like in that 5 to 6 win range with Satterfield as your coach. I think Houston can be a 9 to 10 win team in a given season, and I think Houston can go to the Big 12 title game at times in UCF. Now we're talking. So the only problem that I have for UCF is location. Obviously, they're out on the island by themselves like West Virginia used to be, but they still have a talent-rich state to recruit from. They've shown in the past that they have the ability to hire good coaches, Scott Frost, Heupel, so UCF is not new to this. UCF has beaten Baylor in the past in bowl games. They've played LSU in these bowl games tough. So I don't think UCF is scared of the moment. So UCF, former national champion UCF, that is, UCF should come into the conference feeling like this is ours. This is ours. I mean, don't be shocked if within the next 3 years we have a Houston UCF title game for the Big 12. But UCF's coming in, and when I look at this and just flesh it out, the Kansas schools, Iowa State, then you get into your Baylor, TCU, Oklahoma State triplets, Texas Tech. What are they at this moment? They are a solid team, but not necessarily a team that you're going to be afraid of or a team that should be a leader of the conference. So I think best case scenario, UCF is in and out of the Big 12 game once every 3 years, something along those lines. Houston, possibly the same. BYU gets there in a good season. Cincinnati probably not going to get there. But let me know what you think. Like, review, subscribe. New Big 12. Hashtag it's July, baby. College football is right around the corner. And 2-5 is out.